My goodness. 150,000 left. Oh boy! Oh boy!
What are the economic lessons we can learn from poker? That's what we're going to explore in this video. I'm Matt Rousu from Susquehanna University and excited to have Eric with us. Dr. Dunaway, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Dunaway. I'm from Wabash College, and I also love poker and economics, and we are happy to talk about both those together today, especially as the World Series of Poker is about to begin.
It's exciting times. And so this is part of a series. We're going to have several videos where we're just chit-chatting. We are going to show clips from poker scenes, from actual playing poker or other poker related content, and share our thoughts on what the lessons, how does this tie to economics? I think there's a lot to learn here. We will let's just go ahead and jump into the first clip.
Did he show what he had? Did he show what he had?
Yeah, it sounded like he had a queen, because when I said I had a queen, he says a good queen, right? So it seems like he must have just had a bad queen.
2,200 now.
When
I don't.
when the 18, I was like, fuck.
No, but to lead, he's getting information when I jam. When he leads, the lead's not so bad if he listens to the answer. And I didn't even hesitate. I just snap jammed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Snap jam is right.
You just snap jammed. And gave the
Pocket
announcement
aces
that
here
when they
for
don't
Eric
get you
and
the
a
box,
6 for
you
JRB. Look
know
at this.
exactly what we're talking about. When you go
Can
all in,
JRB extract
when
here?
you go all in with a pair, oh fuck.
This is crazy. This is crazy. JRB. He just gonna call.
Check.
Turn is a jack, and Eric plays a little pot control, and now JRB with a 5 coming in, an 8-9 coming in. He's not really going to be able to maximize. He bets 45 in a call, but what could have been?
Play in the rush.
What could have been?
Dirty.
Give me 2 good calls.
For what?
He's the 2, you're the 4.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rate
Absolutely.
18-2 now. Just 200 more. 18,200. Call 18-2. Heads up.
Eric to 18,200 heating calls here. Pocket 5s, and there's a set for Keating, but Eric doesn't have anything here. And what's going on here? What is that?
Should I blind call that?
Is that bet? Oh, a blind bet here by Eric on the turn of 50,000. So bet call. And now Eric, 50,000. You can see the steam coming out of his head. The pot is 180 here. And here we go to the river. The river's a 7. Is he going to give up or just go crazy? Keating has a full house. Clubs have busted out. Luckily for Eric, he didn't hit an ace or a queen. Holy smokes.
Wesley, you have a hand.
Towards the end of the night, my goodness, 150,000 left. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh my goodness, that's got to be the hand of the night. Wow. Alan Keating gets it all back. And there he goes. Whoa.
How you doing? What the fuck?
Oh my god, he was blind betting into you.
It's such a great video. It's how I love like the last part right here, just how fast he leaves the room after the second one. It's like
Leaves at lightning speed.
Yeah, before I buy, I lose more money.
Yeah. He really leaves at lightning speed. I mean, all the money's gone. Frustrating, but so these are interesting videos for us because I assume we'll have some people who love poker that know a little bit of economics, and some people who love economics or really know economics and maybe know just a little bit of poker. But for defining what happened here, this is an example of what people would say poker player going on tilt.
Absolutely.
So some hand happened in the past. Usually, when tilting happens, it's thought of as somebody suffers what's called a bad beat. They thought they were going to win, and instead they lose a big hand. So Eric Pearson had aces, lost quite a bit of money, $45,000 bet on the end to a hand. What was it? Something with a six. I can't even remember.
Triple sixes.
Yeah. I know it was three sixes, and I can't even remember what. I think it was Antonio. Was it Antonio Esfandiar? No, it was JRB. Who had the hand that beat him, and then the very next hand, he was a decent hand to start with, and then just, as they say, you could see the steam coming from his head. So tilting. And what when you see this and you're tying it into economics, what's the economic concept that you're thinking of right away?
Well, I mean, the first one I think of course, is the sunk cost fallacy.
Yep.
And in economics, we like to classify costs as fixed and variable primarily, and then there's a subset of fixed costs known as sunk costs, and it's just a cost that once you pay it, you can't get it back anymore. And the logic behind these two hands is that once Eric Pearson lost that first hand, that money's gone.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be making correct economic decisions, he's going to not even be thinking about what the chips he just lost in the last hand.
Yeah.
But he clearly was.
Yeah. The analogy to the sunk cost fallacy is just really so good. Sunk cost, it's not retrievable, and it has no real impact on. It should have no impact on your future profitability, right? Whatever you do, that money's just gone.
Yeah, there's no way to get it back. And
you should simply be thinking about the best way to make a decision moving forward. And I've played a fair amount of poker, and I know that it can be tough. I think that's one of the things I'm a little bit better at is understanding, and it comes with repetition, but it's tough at first. And I've seen this happen many times. Somebody loses a hand and they might go out of their mind a little bit, or maybe it's not even out of their mind. They just play a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another concept from behavioral economics that we see from prospect theory, where when people are playing from behind, if they feel like they're experiencing a loss, they become much more willing to take a risk in order to try to break even.
Yeah. That's a good one. I don't know that I'd even thought about that necessarily, but you're right. If you're going to go home losing money, and let's say you're losing big. Okay. If you're losing really big, how much more pain is there from losing a bit bigger versus maybe the joy of crawling out from under?
It's kind of like that, one night you won $100, the next night you lost $100. According to what we call the neoclassical model of economics, you should just feel like how you did when you started, but we don't. We feel that $100 loss a lot more potently than that $100 gain because, oh man, I had $100, but now it's gone.
I don't know if you've ever had, I don't know how much you will wager at casinos ever, but I don't know if you've ever had the opposite feeling. I've had nights where I've started off down dramatically, and then I come back and I basically broke even, and it felt like I just won so much.
It's incredible, but you're just right back where you started.
Yeah, I'm like, it's the best, it's the best $10 lost night I've ever had, when it be down a significant amount of money. And
it just comes from that idea of how our minds work when we process events. We don't think of them in a bubble. We don't think of them just like how many dollars we have. We're always comparing them against something else. So even going back to what Eric Pearson was doing, he was comparing the second hand to the first hand. And that was causing him to probably take more risk than he should. But for your example, when you broke even, you were comparing to being down, and now you're up. But you really just broke even.
Really just broke even. So this is a great. These are really kind of behavioral economics concepts that we're talking about. Which behavioral economics, it's kind of a branch where we look at there's the optimal decision making people might make if they essentially were robots. But
Homo economicus.
Homo economicus. But as we know, people aren't robots. And because they're not robots, they things like the sunk cost fallacy can apply. There's more examples though that we have of this. So let's go to the second clip.
And in this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about satellites. A satellite is simply a type of poker tournament that offers the chance to win entry to a bigger tournament, basically giving you the opportunity to participate in events, live and online, that might otherwise be out of your budget. So, how is a satellite different from a standard poker tournament? Well, normally, players compete for cash prizes. The higher you finish, the bigger the amount, with the winner earning the single biggest percentage of the prize pool. But in a satellite, the prizes are usually all the same. It's a set number of tickets or seats in a larger buy-in tournament. For example, a $10 satellite with 100 entrants awarding 10 $100 tournament tickets.
Satellite poker tournaments and behavioral economics. Do you ever play satellite tournaments?
I haven't. Yeah, I know this
Okay.
is more your area of expertise, but I would be very interested in those, especially from an economic point, because I mean, yeah, these are still behavioral economics, but it also feels like we're touching on just the golden rule of economics right here. We got marginal benefit and marginal cost.
Yeah. So the satellite tournaments, where I really think of this as a commitment device.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, if you go to Las Vegas right now, I don't know exactly what's showing, but when this drops, will be during the World Series of Poker. There are tournaments of all price levels. I mean, there are tournaments for $40, $60. Okay, there's nothing really probably less than $40 or $60, but there's from 40 to 60 up to, many thousands of dollars. And you could simply enter any tournament and get paid cash if you do well in the tournament. And then you could take that cash and buy into a bigger tournament if you like, or you could enjoy the cash if you like.
Mm-hmm.
A satellite tournament actually takes that out of your hands. So you could enter a tournament for, let's say it's a $125 single table satellite to $1,000 World Series of Poker event. If you win, you don't get the cash. You have to enter the tournaments. Now, I know there's some ways some people in some formats can get the chips and maybe sell them. But a lot of places, when you win a satellite, you're just automatically registered. You have no choice. And it forces you into the event. Now, Homo economicus, as you've said, you'd rather just play a cash tournament and get the cash.
Exactly. And we with this idea of commitment devices, it's kind of an understanding that when we are looking at kind of the real world and how our minds work with this, we find that our minds give us really strong preferences for gratification now. Like we want it now, when we might be better off if we delayed that for a little bit. This idea,
you're taking this a different angle than I was thinking in terms of the delaying the potential benefits of something. When I'm seeing this, and I've played satellites I've won 2 entries into the World Series of Poker main event in my life. I don't play many satellites. Both of these were in online tournaments. One of them required me to play. I was thrilled. It was a lot of, it was awesome to be able to go play. The other one, I could cash out and just take the cash. It's a tough justification on the home front. If you win the tournament and you're excited to tell, a spouse, a partner, or even just justify.
This is the main event, right?
Into the main event, just to justify, like, hey, I could just take $10,000, or I could put it in this tournament, where 85% of the people get nothing, but I could win a lot more. It's in theory, you should always just want the cash, but if you have this dream of playing the main event, it's a lot easier to justify if you win a tournament and then you are committed. There is no getting out of that.
Yeah. And commitment devices are a way to kind of help you get into that bigger tournament. It is as counterintuitive it is to economics. Sometimes we can go for the bigger prize by taking a choice away. Normally we think more choices is better, but in something like this, committing to it ahead of time, it just removing that choice.
Yeah, so for those who are poker players and not necessarily economics isn't their main one, this is really there's a lot of behavioral economics, I think, behind the idea of satellites and why would you play it. And I know I've heard of poker players debating this, like, why not just play and take the cash? And I'm like, well, that's actually a perfectly legitimate thing. Or play, take the cash, and then make a choice later if you really want to enter or not. That's, I think, a perfectly reasonable approach. I also think a reasonable approach is, I know I would love to play this someday, and I know it would be really tough for me to justify putting out however many, we're talking about the World Series of Poker main event, which is 10,000, or a tournament that's, $3,000, right? I mean, they have a lot of tournaments at a lot of price points. Many people don't really want to spend $3,000 on one specific tournament.
Yeah.
But there could be a satellite that gets you in for $100 or $200.
Exactly. And that's kind of going back to that earlier marginal benefit and marginal costs. You could turn that 100 into 300, and then for the chance to even get even more than that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's fascinating. But sometimes we get in our own ways with our choices. And
yeah. And the other thing, I mean, poker professionals will kind of view, okay, I'm working. But a lot of people, when they come to, the poker economy wouldn't exist if there weren't people who were recreational players. And they'll win some of the time, but they might view the idea of playing a satellite as a good day's worth of entertainment. And, if they lose the satellite, that's fine. They took a shot, they had some fun, they played some poker, and they lost. But there's a chance to get some extra entertainment later.
Absolutely.
Huge payoff. So a different commitment device, and this next video will show, isn't really poker, but it involves poker players and a stunning commitment device, and we will go to the next video now.
Against the flop pair of eights of Andrew St. John, the turn card is an ace. And Forrest will double up again and stay alive.
Ted Forrest, with his own taste of celebrity, he played himself in the film Lucky You.
So that double up brings some relief to a man whose mind at the moment is utterly consumed each and every minute by a very bizarre and outrageous prop bet with Mike Matusow.
We were at the Commerce Club, and somehow this crazy bet just came up. He's like, I bet 10 million I can get down to 139. And I'm like, it's impossible. Right now I weigh 159. I've lost 25 pounds, another 20 to go. I feel great. I feel a lot better than when I was 184. It's hysterical to watch him, like walking and running on every break, realizing that no matter how much he runs, his body won't go below 161. I try to walk and or run 10 or 12 miles a day. As soon as he eats anything because he's starving himself trying to do it right now, he'll gain back 10, 15 pounds. If I was a fighter, I would fight at 145. I mean, that's just the size of my frame. Dario Maneri weighs 145. I mean, you're talking about minuscule, crazy stuff. Yes! It'll be the easiest 2 million I'll ever make in my life. More power to him. If he wants to try and kill himself, I just make sure we wrote down in the will that I get paid if he dies, that's all.
I love that video.
So, two poker professionals, very big names, especially in the aughts, I guess, 2003, 4, 5, 6. Ted Forrest, Mike Matusow. Make a bet. Mike Matusow risks $2 million to Ted Forrest 100,000. Ted Forrest has to go from about 180 pounds to 139 pounds. Okay, this is an extreme example. This is almost of a competition. But there are people making weight loss bets, and I've actually done weight loss bets and weight loss commitments. A question that I guess we could ask, right, thinking about the behavioral economics point of it, if somebody just wanted to lose weight, why wouldn't they just lose weight? Why do they need to have a bet attached to it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And, again, this is another form of commitment device, but it's kind of this one gets rooted a little bit differently than our previous example. In that, if I were picking a place in behavioral economics to put this one, I'm going to start thinking about stated versus revealed preferences. This idea that we can say whatever we want to. I would love to lose some weight. I don't know what adult wouldn't say that they would love to lose some weight. But when push comes to shove, when it's time for me to make the decision of what I want to do today, I don't choose to go lose weight. And our true preferences, what we are as people, come down to what we choose, not what we say. And so this is where the commitment device comes in, where there's the opportunity to actually win some money based upon your choices. We have a consequence now if you choose otherwise, or the potential for a huge gain if you choose for it. And it's fascinating that when you got a little bit of skin in the game, all of a sudden our revealed preferences start coming out. One semester, I put gym hours in my syllabus as an opportunity for students to come work out with me in the gym. But the rule in the syllabus was that if they showed up and I wasn't there working out, they got to demand that I would reveal a question from the next exam to them. So I got punished if I wasn't there, and I never missed a gym day that entire semester.
That's a great commitment device that I had never thought of. Hold the office hours in the gym.
Yeah, the students were incentivized to come work out with me because they could ask me questions about the class while I was lifting. And at the same time, they were incentivized to monitor me as well.
Oh, that's a great one. I have not heard of that one before. I heard of like coffee office hours. And, things like that. Gym office hours. Yeah, illustrating the behavioral economics at the same time you're offering office hours for the students. So that's a really good one. There are economists have really been behind a lot of the ideas of these types of commitment devices. An economist, I believe, was responsible for creating the website stick.com, stickk.com, where you're trying to commit to a particular goal. And if you scroll down, it's lose weight, exercise regularly, maintain weight, or they say custom goal, anything else. And you can try to place some commitment that if you don't succeed, have to pay out a little bit of money. Once again, Homo economicus doesn't need the extra incentive, and in fact is worse off because they don't have you're just risking money. You could have gone to the gym anyway, or I could have lost weight anyway, and I'm just putting myself in a spot. But
yeah, the perfectly rational thinker would just go out and lose weight. That's what they really wanted. But we get in our own way sometimes.
Yeah. So hope you enjoyed. Any closing thoughts on poker and behavioral economics?
Oh, it's such a deep connection, especially if we start thinking about strategy, if we start thinking about how our minds work and looking for the flaws in how we reason. It's the secret to success at a poker table. You'll hear so many interesting things about game theory optimal when you start learning about poker theory, but it only works if everybody's doing it perfectly. That when you can find kind of the flaws in just a decision-making process, that creates opportunities. And it's
and if you play if you play close to game theory optimal most of the time, but you lose a hand and then you go berserk for a while, it kind of doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly, because you're not playing it anymore.
Yeah, you're just exposing yourself. So well, for everybody, thank you for watching. As mentioned, this is part of a series. Eric and I will be back to talk a little bit more on economics and poker and how the two are related. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
And enjoy the World Series of Poker this year.
Enjoy the World Series of Poker. And to everybody, we'll see you in the next video.